Good day everyone, Dr. Polaris here. Well, we've already examined the cryptid Gambo, so let's move on to its even sillier cousin, Trunco. The seas of our world are vast and mysterious places, and have spawned countless stories of strange creatures lurking within their depths. Yet for all of the sea serpents and sea monsters that have been reported over the years, every once in a while something truly bizarre comes to light. Surely one of the oddest of such cases comes to us from the shores of South Africa, where in the early 1920s there was a rather perplexing case of a sea monster that has continued to defy classification. According to an article that first appeared in the December 27th, 1924 edition of London's Daily Mail newspaper, and entitled "Fish Like a Polar Bear," on October the 25th of that year, a curious sequence of baffling events began to unfold off the coast of Margate, South Africa, that would both startle and frighten witnesses on the beach. Just offshore there was allegedly a rather bizarre sight of an enormous white-furred creature with what looked like a long trunk, and which was described by one witness as looking like a giant polar bear that appeared to be engaged in vicious combat with a pair of killer whales. According to the report, the strange violent battle was truly epic, stretching on for about 3 hours, and the strange sea monster lashed out at the whales with its formidable looking tail, at one point even purportedly leaping 20 feet out of the water. When the fierce battle drew to an end, the odd sea creature reportedly washed up on the shore, apparently killed by the orcas, where it would have proven to be an even stranger beast than originally thought. Witnesses who claim to have examined the carcass described it as being 47 feet long, 10 feet wide and 5 feet high, without any limbs, and the entirety of it covered with lush white fur around 8 inches long. The creature appeared to have no discernible head, and from its torso protruded what looked like a thick trunk very similar to that of an elephant, which measured roughly 5 feet long and 14 inches in diameter. The tail of the beast was said in later reports to be like that of a lobster, and perhaps the strangest detail of all was that the corpse showed no signs of blood, despite the fact that the creature had presumably died of its wounds. Although the mystery animal was examined and measured by witnesses on the beach, it seems that strangely no trained scientist ever came to see it, and no photographs were forthcoming at the time. After 10 days of rotting away on the beach, the fetid carcass then apparently washed out back to sea, where it would disappear forever and pass into one of the stranger tales of cryptozoology. After the initial article in the Daily Mail, other news sources picked up on the story, and it was widely reported on in various outlets. Oddly, another article was published in the March 27th, 1925 edition of the Charleroi Mail of Charleroi, Pennsylvania, in the United States, and entitled "Whales Slain by Hairy Monster," which would give a slightly different version of events. According to this article, the bizarre trunked sea monster had actually won the battle with the whales, killing them, and then had retreated to the shore where it collapsed from exhaustion rather than washing up dead. Just as described in the original Daily Mail article, the creature then remained on the beach for 10 days, during which time it was not examined by scientists. And yet, in this second article, the beast was said to groggily crawl back to the water and swim away, rather than having its lifeless corpse carried off by the tides. Long without any particular nickname, cryptozoologist Carl Schuker covered the creature in depth in his 1996 book The Unexplained, and it was here where the nickname it has come to be commonly known by first appeared, when Schuker referred to it jokingly as Trunco, a name that would stick. Partly because of the conflicting original accounts, as well as the lack of any real evidence such as scientific analysis or photos offered to support the claims at the time, and partly because of the sheer bizarreness and uniqueness of the creature, the case went on to become the object of much intense debate and speculation. Indeed, it is not even clear when the alleged event happened, as it has been reported as occurring on October the 25th, 1924, and also on November the 2nd, 1924, and even on November the 1st, 1922. Over the years, Many ideas were proposed for what the strange carcass could possibly be. The most popular opinion was that it was merely the decomposing body of some large sea animal, such as a whale, elephant seal, or a large variety of shark, such as the basking shark or whale shark, which had decomposed in such a way as to make its appearance seem more anomalous and mysterious than it really was. In this scenario, the fight with the killer whales was simply a misidentification of the whales feeding on the already dead carcass. Shuka himself believed that this was what Trunco really was, and he talked about this theory in his 2007 book Extraordinary Animals Revisited. Another theory was that it was some strange new species of whale, very large pinniped, or some other type of sea creature. Still others thought that the original articles themselves were either highly exaggerated or entire fabrications. After all, why else would there be such a lack of scientific interest at the time, or any samples or photographs provided? Without any photographic evidence of the creature, or indeed any evidence that it had ever existed at all, it was really all just pure speculation and conjecture, driven by the news reports, and for a long time this was as close as anyone could get to finding any answers. Then, in 2010, all of that changed. In this year, Shuka was contacted by a Marcus Hemmler, who claimed that he had stumbled across an actual supposed photograph of Trunco on a German website. It was important news, to be sure, as up until that point it was thought that no photographic record of the creature had ever existed. After some digging around, several other photographs were also discovered, all of which had apparently been taken in July of 1925 by a South African correspondent and photographer for the Rand Daily Mail and Worldwide magazine, and seemed to show an anomalous, large beached animal that could not easily be identified. After carefully analysing the photographs, Shuka came to the conclusion that while the photos lended the story some credibility, the carcass was most likely what is known as a globster, which sounds quite mysterious, but is actually the name given to the remains of known animals, such as whales, which have decomposed in such a way as to make them seem like strange beasts, often having lost their skeletons and appearing as enigmatic gelatinous sacks of skin and blubber. In Shuka's opinion, the apparent hair of the creature was the result of exposed tissue fibres, which could also have comprised the trunk of the animal. This supports the idea that the spectacle that had been witnessed was just some killer whales playing with the corpse, something that they are well known to do, such as tossing seals into the air well before feeding. This would have given the illusion that the creature was alive and engaged in mortal combat with the whales. This theory would also explain the lack of blood found on the corpse, as it would have been made primarily of rough skin, connective tissue fibres and collagen. So what was Trunco? What did those people see from the beach all those years ago? Was it merely a blob of decomposing dead whale that had ended up as a plaything for orcas? As Shuka and Darren Naish have suggested, Trunco was without question part of the Globster phenomenon. Now that we actually have photos of said carcass, this is the best of all possible explanations. Commenting on the photos, paleontologist Darren Naish wrote, "They show that it was a rotting carcass of a large vertebrate, most likely a whale. The idea that this was really the body of a white-furred, trunked sea monster stems from naivety about the appearance of rotting animal carcasses. The photos are somewhat ambiguous, but the enormous bulk of the carcass, the large amount of what looks like frayed, badly decayed collagen, and the presence of what seems to be a mostly obscured internal skeletal framework, suggest that this is another globster, a rotting mass of whale tissue." And with that final remark ends the tale of Trunco and my examination of Africa's cryptids. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'll be moving on to the cryptids of other continents shortly, but next week's video will concern the Aphanosaurs, an unusual and recently identified group of avian metatarsal and archosaurs. See you again soon. Cheerio.